I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. I know you're out there.
What's up, everybody? I'm Fu.
Hey, I'm Jay.
And I'm Main One, and welcome to Unplugged Free Your Mind, a show where we discuss an array of topics, current events, and world news from an unfiltered, unbiased, and unplugged point of view. Welcome to another week of Unplugged, everybody. How y'all doing?
Good. Go ahead and say it.
What?
We made it.
We made it. Mortimer, we made it. We back.
What week is this, y'all? Right off the top of your head. What week is this?
This is eight. This is episode 8.
I think it's 9. It's 9.
Mm-mm. Episode 8.
Shame.
What? What is it? Who's right? Who's right and who's wrong?
I don't know. I got to look it up.
Oh, well, how you saying we shameful?
Wait, let me pull up the calendar. I can tell you exactly. I think Fu is right, though. I think it's 9.
Okay.
Did I say that?
Did we have 4 in February?
No.
Then we got 8.
Yeah.
There's 8.
You're so right, bro. 9. There was 4 Mondays in February. See, it throws you off because it's a short month. But there were 4 Mondays in February. And we started this the first Monday in January, the 4th. So this week would be 9.
Wrong. We started on the 11th. Khalil's show was January the 11th. I remember because that's when I started my no meat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, so you're right.
I mean, typically 99% of the time I'm right. I mean, my average is really up there. So
it's like that, huh?
Yeah, it's like that.
Hey, what about me is I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong. Fuck it. So,
what y'all do this weekend? What y'all get into?
Well, y'all know I had a busy weekend. That's why I'm sorry I missed the show yesterday. I really missed y'all. I'm working on this project, and I got a chance to go to Philadelphia and kind of explored a little bit. I didn't get to go and see the stairs, the Rocky stairs or whatever, but I'm doing that this weekend.
Yeah.
So I seen a few things
So tell everybody if they don't know, tell everybody what you got going on. What's your, you do other things other than the Unplugged podcast. So what you got going on?
Absolutely. Everyone pretty much, well, y'all probably don't know, but I have a day job. But what I do as a side hustle is I'm an entertainer. I sing a little bit, and I've done some emceeing with certain events. Pretty much I'm singing on the event, but it all works out. And so now with COVID-19 in New York, it's so shut down entertainment wise. If with that being a side hustle, it's like I don't have anywhere to perform. So what I'm doing now is just working on some recordings, working on special projects with people. So hopefully I'll be able to share something soon.
Okay.
It takes a while, but yeah, that's one of the things that's the sad reality of people who are pretty much Broadway and performing live, and even people like the managers and people that's running all the behind the scenes stuff. It's nothing's going on right now. And there was a really good article that one of my colleagues sent me. It's in the Wall Street Journal, and I can't remember the name of the article, but it just talks about the harsh reality is New York may never be the same. And it's a lot of people that's not accepting that yet. So that's what I do. And that's what I did this weekend.
It might not be the same for what reason?
Because of COVID-19, because of, having to make sure that you have X amount of people in the venues. Although Cuomo right now, should I bring up his name right now?
Yeah, but bring up the
Yeah, alleged. No, we're not even gonna go into that because I like the way he handled, the way he responded to COVID-19 here, and he's doing things to get the entertainment industry up and running. And one of which is they're gonna offer for certain venues. I don't know which venues yet, but they're gonna offer rapid tests where you can go and get a rapid test, get your results, in like 30 minutes, and then you can go whatever. The scary thing about that, now that's a good thing, but the scary part about that is I have a gut feeling that a lot of venues are going to require it. So not only are you going to be buying a ticket, you're going to have to pay for the rapid test unless they find a way to, work that cost of the rapid test into your ticket cost and say, hey, just go here and get your rapid test and show up. So it's a lot of things on the table right now to get New York back up and running. But this particular article that I read was like, the harsh reality is it's just not. And everyone's monitoring, to see what happens. So yeah, so that was my weekend in a nutshell. And I literally drove back to New York last night in the rain, and it was kind of harsh, but I made it. I think the most daunting thing about for me coming home late is the fact that I won't have a parking space. I can't hear you, man. Oh, okay. Cool. What about you, Fu? What you get into this weekend?
Slanging nothing. It wasn't nothing popping off. Like I talked about, I finished watching that the Men Who Built America documentary. But
how was that?
Everybody need to watch it, and my objective is when people watch it for them to compare it to exactly what's going on today. Talk about to a T. Considering what the government talks about the way that it should be and how it is, people's perception of how it is, or what's going on in reality. People not going to pay attention to that because, of course, they omitted people who had a hand in what was going on, but it was more so that backstory per se that I wanted people to to kind of pay attention to compare.
So, like, if you tell us, are you giving it away a bit?
I mean,
give us like a brief. Like, is it about really
it's about
the makings of America?
Vanderbilt, Carnegie, Rockefeller, and JP Morgan.
Okay.
But it breaks everything down. But see, people need to pay attention to, like I said, of the way that hold on, let me do something real quick. Yo, Sonny, I know you can hear me. You can hear me, right? Now I don't have you on yet, but you can hear me. Send your people to you. You got the message? Send it. All right, we good. All right. But forget about all of that. We're gonna talk about that another time. Let's get into, because me and Jermaine, we kind of chilling tonight. It's you since we're gonna do this for your current events. What you got going on?
Oh, I mean that's all. So we're going into current events right now. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to go over just a couple of things. I'm not going to hold it too long because I myself am very excited to talk to Sunny. So I know some of you watched it, and again, maybe some of you may have boycotted it yet again this year. But it was the Golden Globes. I think they were on yesterday. Was it Sunday, Jermaine? You back with us?
I think Sunday.
Sunday. It was either Saturday or Sunday. But anyway, I didn't watch it. Personally, I am boycotting it. I don't plan to watch that or the Oscars until they make some changes. But I do want to share that. Have y'all seen the United States versus Billie Holiday?
No.
Oh my God! Let me tell you, Andrea Day, in this she stars as Billie Holiday. She nails this role, and she won Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture for a Musical or a Comedy, because most of this movie was really centered around the whole controversy of, yet again, one of our icons, Billie Holiday, being set up by the feds. You know what? I asked my girl Mahogany earlier. I was like, "Is this the year of the rat?" Because I'm serious. Because like all of the new docuseries and everything is really think about it. MLK, Malcolm X, the Black Messiah. I mean, it's centered around really the real story of what the things that the feds were involved in, allegedly. No, that's not alleged. That happened.
So are we talking about? You think they're predictive programming us for something?
I don't know. Like for what? For like
I don't know. But every time it seems like it's a pattern of stuff happening through entertainment.
Yeah.
It always seems like it's setting us up for to have our minds normalized to it. So
yeah.
just be on the lookout.
Well, okay. So see, that is the unplugged part of you. Because the only thing that I'm thinking is this is just some really sketchy, stuff that's coming out. And I don't know, maybe you're right, but I don't know, because a lot of the things that's coming out are produced by, Black people, black entertainment companies. So I don't know, you may be right. Speaking of another one, your boy from, what was that movie he did? Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
So he won Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role for Judah, the Black Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
He won for being a snitch?
No.
Oh, he wasn't. No, he was actually
Fred.
the Black Messiah. He was the dude. He played Fred.
But that he was supporting?
Well, the movie was supposed to be about William O'Neill.
Right.
To be honest,
the
that was the focal point of the movie. Fred Hampton was the not, I don't want to say the side, but he was not the focal point of the movie.
Yeah. I thought that was weird too, though, when with it being supporting role, but that's what he won. Here's a good one. Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul. He won Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Okay. Oh, so they want to give him that since they didn't want to give him nothing from Black Panther. Okay, no problem. That's all good.
Nothing from Black Panther?
Hell no.
I did not know that. That's news to me. And I'll make mention of this, although Jamie Foxx didn't really win anything for this, but the animated movie Soul that just came out not too long ago, it won Best Original Score. And it's people that you may not know: Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and John Batiste. But Jamie Foxx did the bulk of the vocal, so I thought that would be like an honorable mention. Okay. We're proud of him, so congratulations. By the way, last night, Chadwick Boseman's wife. Now, was he married or was she just a fiance? I think they got married.
They were married.
So she did the acceptance speech. Of course, it was a remote setting, and when I tell you, she brought me to tears twice. Like after I seen her say what she said, then I looked at it again. I'm like, oh my God, this had to be so hard for her. So just wanted to mention that. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the Golden Globes was that a lot of people, Black people specifically, were not watching it because of the fact, they have a bad habit of not only are they not really nominating Black movies, people who are producing it, starring in them and everything, they have a lack of culture, us on the boards that do the voting.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the fact of the matter is, it's like, why should their opinion matter anyway as far as anything that we do? Because the crazy thing is, when you think about a movie like The Color Purple, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure The Color Purple won some awards.
Yes, it did.
So why did they win awards? Because it was Steven Spielberg's movie. When it comes to our movies, usually there are no awards. So you got a movie like a Love Jones. Love Jones is one of my favorite movies of all times.
Yeah.
Prince Tate wasn't up for nothing. Nia Long wasn't up for nothing. Whoever was the videographer or whatever back in the day, they wasn't up for anything when it comes to Love Jones. But when you talk about our culture, that's a classic. Usually almost everybody loves that music. So for me, my personal opinion is I could care less about what they say and nominating us and everything like that, because honestly, all they care about is money anyway. They don't care about anything else. Long as they can get paid and that movie can make money, they're good. They don't care about the accolades and everything like that from what it brings. It's just, the problem is, for me, what we need to do as our culture. Do y'all understand how powerful it would be if we had our own Academy Awards or any the way that, mind you, the perfect place to do it, Tyler Perry Studios. They got the location. They have a location to do it. You don't need to go to LA. Anybody want to come to Atlanta or do that shit in Miami? Hands down, fuck California. Damn Hollywood. Do that shit in motherfucking what's name in Atlanta or do it in Miami, and I guarantee you that shit will be the hottest venue on the ticket. All it's gonna take is for them to do it one time, and that can start a domino.
I mean, they already have it. I mean, all they have to do is just build off the NAACP Image Awards. Just build off the Image Award and just make it a whole thing. Just build off of it. We already have something already in place that's supposed to be, acknowledging
for us and about us
and acknowledging our accolades. So just use that and just build off of it. But as always, we always want to assimilate into. We want their praise. We want their pat on the back and all this shit. And,
wanting to be inclusive.
To be inclusive, and that's okay. But to what point? To what extent do you want to be inclusive? I mean, I don't. If I'm an actor and I feel like I did a good job in this movie, only praise I care about is praise from my peers. I can care less what somebody who ain't never acted before in their life or whatever is saying. Oh, you deserve this award for your acting. Fuck that.
I just think that they should be fair with diversity. Like we're not in the 20s, 30s, and 40s anymore. We are progressively, we're in every area of entertainment. So why not? But again, I just wanted to just make mention of that because I'm very proud of the winners, especially, the ones that's been, working. The guy Kahlua, he's a good actor. To me, he really did his thing in The Black Messiah. I was like, because now this is the same guy that was in Get Out too, right?
Yeah.
Get Out, Black Panther.
Get Out.
He's a great actor. And he's English or whatever the hell, British, whatever. So switch like on point.
Yeah, he is. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because y'all, I don't know if you're looking at the chat, but I think everyone's ready to talk to Sonny. So y'all, he's going to be up real soon. I just wanted to make mention of that. And it's that kind of news that you may or may not be able to use. I'm like, for what you said earlier, this is the stuff that it's okay to be unplugged with. How did you say it?
I said so.
He glad he's unplugged when it comes to that.
Yeah. I don't know nothing about what's going on. I was talking to Jermaine earlier about JJ Watt signing with Arizona. I haven't watched football, so I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that happened." But to transition, for everybody out there watching, what we can see right now is that there's 9 people watching. From what we can see, that's on live. We need this to get up to 100, 150, 200, because we're gonna be talking about the stock market tonight. And I happened to reach out to the guest on IG because of the movement that he started, and thankfully he agreed to go ahead and come on the show. I'm not going to steal his shine. I want him to introduce himself, but from my understanding, my vibe that I get from him, he a cool dude. I look forward to meeting him or whatever. Definitely. His name is Sonny, down in Miami, doing his thing as an entrepreneur. But he's definitely involved in the stock market and has been doing it, I think, if I'm not mistaken, for over 10 years. Well, like I said, that's just the small bio that I have. But I'm going to let him introduce himself. So without further ado, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Miami himself, because he's rocking all that Florida shit, all that turquoise blue. I'm gonna go ahead and let Sonny introduce himself to let you know what he does and how he got into investing.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay. Hi, Sonny. Welcome
hey, how y'all doing?
What's up, doing?
So just a little bit of background about me. Obviously, I'm from Miami. Owned a few businesses down in South Florida, and I personally traded, right? So most of my introduction into the stock market has just been for personal gain. And then obviously I understand that not every Black person is blessed with business acumen or had an opportunity to learn about stocks, because of course they don't teach this in schools, right? So we don't, if you weren't introduced to it through your parents or from some sort of class you may have taken in college, then most Black people aren't going to be privy to that information. So what really spawned the Black Tuesday gang was what happened with Reddit and Wall Street Bets. And what they did was basically they did a short squeeze on GameStop. And for those who don't know what that means, it's a complicated term. Basically, it just means that people who bet on GameStop to fail, they basically went and bought it up so that those people had to buy more of the stock to cover their bet. Long story short, the people that were involved in it made a lot of money. So the everyday average trader who just happened to be watching or following Reddit and Wall Street Bets, they made 5, 10 times multiple on their money. And I thought to myself, I said, well, you know, Black people are on social media more than anybody. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We're on these social media sites more than anybody. Why can't we galvanize the same collective energy to do the same thing financially, right? And not only make some money, but help these businesses that we choose to help. So if we say, hey, we're all gonna buy this particular stock of this Black-owned company, right? And that might put that company over the top. And not only that, we'll make some money in doing so. So if this company goes from a $100 million company and they go to $1 billion company, then we also, as stock owners or shareholders in that company, we would make that money as well. So our investment would grow. So that's where the idea for the Black Tuesday gang came from.
Okay.
Well, that right there is and I think I told you this. It was real funny. First off, I didn't know that y'all started it that early. I thought it was started before that. I didn't know it was like fresh like that for like a week once I had seen it. Because what's funny is how it got back to me, and it was like like when you was like we gonna announce the stock early Tuesday morning, make sure you buy it, and you was like the stock is gonna be SNDL Sundial. I called Main One. I was like, your Main One, where already got this stock? My man talked about this shit 2 weeks ago, so we good. But the way y'all pushed it, I said, oh, I got to get some more. So I got more. I ended up getting 589 shares.
Okay.
And I kept it. I'm like, let me just be patient. It's all good. It's since my man said get it, I'll be patient with it. But what I want you to touch on is like, how did the Black Tuesday gang start? Like, is it just you? Is it, like, who is it?
So, good question. So initially, right, when I came up with the idea, right, my personal social media page is not that large, right? So I reached out to a dude that I know through social media, and I ran the idea past him, right? I said, hey, what do you think about if we use our social media influence to do X? So he was on board. He got some other people, and that was the original core of the idea, right? That we were going to promote this information. Now, unfortunately, once it kind of took off, because I think the morning that we announced Sundial, it was at like $1.30.
Yeah, it was.
By Thursday, it had gotten all the way up to almost $4, right? So a lot of people made a lot of money, and of course, egos got involved, right? So now it's a question of ownership and who's going to own the page, and if the page following gets up to so high. So I decided, because initially, like, these people aren't like financial investors or anything like that. They're just people who have a large social media following. So I just, decided to kind of cut bait, because I can see where that was going, because they wanted to monetize off the movement, and I wanted to basically allow the movement to be organic, right? I don't want Black Tuesday to be one person or a collection of people. I want it to be a movement of millions of people, right? And everybody is profiting the same. If we all decide to buy one stock, and that stock goes up 40, 50%, then everybody made 50% gains on their initial investment, right? There's no owner to this movement, right? So that's the direction I decided to go with it.
All right. Well, I mean, that shows you're an honorable dude. And I pretty much wanted to ask that, because I follow you. I see what's up. And when I saw that, I was like, man, it is not that damn serious. They like, and when you start talking about, I'm not just gonna say us and our people. That's usually how it is. Once egos get involved, and all that shit, it changes everything. And I'm a firm believer of it's enough for everybody to eat well. I'm talking about not just eat. Everybody can eat well.
So here's the disappointing part, right? Because here's the bigger picture. If we just had, let's say, even 500,000, right, people committed to this idea that we're all going to collectively, on whatever day, decide to purchase a particular part of a company, right? 500,000, and everybody decides that they're going to do $100, something very nominal, right? You're talking about $50 million worth of buying power, right? Buying power that can change a small cap business. If you have a business that's small or moderately sized, getting an investment of one day of $50 million, that can change the landscape of your business, right? So that's just with 500,000 people committed to the same idea. I know Instagram models that have 1 million followers, right? I know dudes on Instagram who, play pranks on people and they got 1 million followers, right? So to me, that's the real power. That's the real, money opportunity. Not having 1 million followers and selling them a t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Not having 1 million followers and telling them to buy your music, right? The real power is having, 1 million Black people all on the same page financially, because now you have power, right? Now we can literally save companies. Now we can create companies. We all sit around here talking about, oh, we need Black social media apps. Those apps do exist. The problem is they don't have any financing. They can't get money like a Clubhouse can go and raise $1 billion. They can't get that money. But through us and our movement, they can get that money. You see, so this is much more than just, having a page with 1 million followers. It's having 1 million like-minded Black people all on the same page financially.
Right.
See, and what you said would be, and this is the downfall of our community, because it's always, like Fu said, it's the ego's always going to get involved. You look at back in the 60s when they had all these, they galvanized all these people from state to state. No social media, no internet. That, and social media is, to me, is a gift and a curse, because the gift is you can reach so many people, but the curse is that you don't use it the right way. And what you were trying to do seemed to me like a smart thing to do. I mean, if you get 500,000 people to get $100, come on, man, you shit out $100 on some bull crap. I know I do. I like gadget. Fu called me a gadget whore. I'm on Amazon, finding all kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? So $100, you can do that if you want to come together, but we refuse to come together, and that continues to be a detriment in our community, man. So I commend you for what you were trying to do, and I hope you able to start something else, where you can keep trying to galvanize and give people that mindset, of collective buying power, man.
Yeah, I like the keyword that you used when you said like-minded individuals, because it sounds to me like, people got off course with the big picture. So I guess my question to you is how do you guys plan to get people back on track?
Well, the first thing I want to make it clear to everyone, right? So what Black Tuesday Gang is essentially a movement for Black people to collectively invest in a particular company all at the same time. What Black Tuesday Gang is not is a pump and dump scheme, right? Good. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not issuing out hot stock tips, right? Because what happens is you'll say the stock, and the needle might move. It might go up 5-10%, and then just like stocks do, it might go down, right? And then they'll say, "Well, man, that was bad. You told us to buy the wrong thing." Like, no, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not telling you what stock is about to blow up. What I'm telling you is the stock that we should all collectively buy into, and with that collective force, we can move the needle, right? Yeah. Now, if you're not going out there and you're not spreading the word and you're not telling other people to buy it, then it's negating what we're trying to do. This is not about just issuing out, what stock I think is going to blow up. It's about all of us coming together and utilizing that collective energy to push the needle. Yes. Right? So we're not just jumping on a stock and hoping it goes north. We're pushing it north. So what people forget is the pushing part. They just go buy the stock and then, all right, where's the money at?
Yeah.
Right? No, you need to push the stock, right?
Yes.
So you need to post about it, just like Gorilla Glue Girl, right?
Yeah.
This was just a video of some girl who glued her hair together, and that thing was talked about around the world.
Yes.
Right? Jimmy Kimmel. It's on, it's on
everywhere. It's
everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
And that came from us. That was us. It was Black people sharing that story. It was Black people talking about that girl that got her to the point where she got thousands of dollars on GoFundMe. She's being talked about on literally every news station you can think of. So what if we did that with a stock? What if we said, look, we all gonna buy this stock, and collectively we share the information, and every Black person who had a couple dollars, $5, $10, goes and buys that stock. Not only do we make money off the stock when we get it to go viral and more people buy into it, but we also can help that company. So if it's a company that we believe in, that we're rocking with, we as Black people can determine that company's future and make money in the process.
Would you say that that's how, because I'm familiar with a few of those, type of companies that offer advisors. Do you think that's similar? Do you think advisors are sometimes like, I guess, advising the stock owners to invest in certain areas and certain businesses?
Of course, yeah.
Does that work the same way? Because I'm thinking if it's something for us and about us, what's wrong with that? Like, to me, it's like education. It sounds like the Black Tuesday game is about, okay, let's talk about this. You're getting educated in something that we're not known to do.
And that's what it's so. The three things that I love is people just starting the conversation. So if you go to the page, we have a Discord page. If you go to that, what you see a lot is people talking and sharing information. A lot of times, Black people, we miss out when we talk about this, the racial, wealth gap. When we talk about that gap, a lot of times that gap is literally due to just lack of information, right? It's not necessarily inherent racism. Think about this. I'm 40 years old, right? Bill Gates is much older than me, way older than me. Bill Gates had a computer when he was in elementary school, all right? Think about it.
Yeah.
Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Wozniak and all that, they had computers when they were young. At 40, I didn't have my first computer until I was 19 years old, right? So at 19 years old, I had my first computer, which was in 1999, and these guys had computers back in the 70s. So when they created all these apps and all these operating systems, it's not because they're smarter or brighter. They just had the information first. So now you see young Black kids playing with computers and creating apps and video games and building this and taking apart this. Now you see that because now we all have access to computers. So they just had the information first. So when you see these guys, I know a guy on Wall Street Bets who took $5,000 and made $200,000 off the GameStop short squeeze.
Wow.
So 5,000, he made 200,000. They just had the information first. So when we find out about this is after the fact. So what I like is for people to share the information, come to the page and say, hey, look at this stock. It's jumped up these amount of points in these many days. So it's not just all about buying a stock on a particular day, but it's also about, financial literacy, teaching people about the stock market. What are options, right? What are margins? What are margin calls? When we have this conversation, so those of us who have that information can disseminate it down to people who don't have the information. And that's how the other groups work, right? That's how the people in the dominant society work. They share information, right? So the ones at the top who have the information, it trickles down to the ones on the bottom who don't know anything about it. But here in our society, the information is so splintered. So the privileged Black people who do know and they're in the know, they don't really share that information with people who don't know.
They hoard it.
Exactly, right? They keep it for themselves. And that's what I like to see with the Black Tuesday gang is sharing of this information so that everybody can, get a little bit of this and get a little bit of that. And we're not all just individually getting rich.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was just going to quote Fool again. It's enough for all of us to eat comfortably around this table if we're all like-minded.
Right, for sure. Sonny, I've watched a couple of your videos. sometimes I don't catch the Tuesday morning ones, but do you, like you said, do you on your page, do you like talk about trading? What's the difference between options and and all those all the intricacies in the stock market and how to do? Do you talk about that stuff?
So me personally, I do not, right?
Okay.
But and this is only because I don't have enough time, right?
Okay.
But I encourage that type of information. I know early when I first started this, a lot of people didn't even know about what the stock market is. Sometimes you forget how little other people know about something, right? Something can be so like common with you that you forget that you forget, like when you go to New York, there's people who don't have a driver's license. And if you're from the South, a 40-year-old man without a driver's license, it sounds absurd. But in New York, that's common. Dudes literally don't know how to drive. So, I forgot that people really didn't have a heads or tail idea of what the stock market was. So I posted a link to a video to kind of teach them a little more about it, right? And I posted I created a little video to kind of show people a little bit more about what it is that we're doing. But no, I encourage that information. Like, I want people to go to the page and ask questions and have the other followers answer it, right? And then this is what I encourage is conversations, Discord, right? I want people to ask questions, and I want other people to go in and answer those questions, because I don't have all the answers, nor should I.
Do we have a link to your Discord page?
So the link was in the bio on the Black Tuesday page, but I actually just changed it for the link to this.
Oh.
Everybody just kept asking me, what's the link? What's the link? So I just told them the link's in the bio. But after this, I'll go back and switch it, and it'll be the Discord page again.
Okay.
So I got everybody. Let me just let everybody know first and foremost. Listen, we want to make sure that people get their questions answered. We got Sonny. We want to utilize them for as much as we can. So if you have questions, if you're not on Facebook, I suggest everybody go to YouTube. If you got people that want to see this, everybody go to YouTube. Look up Unplugged Free Your Mind. Go ahead and start your questions, and then we can go ahead and start bombarding Sonny with these questions. But my bad for cutting you off, man. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good. No problem. I wanted to ask, because me and Fu, we talked about this, and and I know you and I follow Chris Sane, not to bring nobody else up on your time.
That's fine, man.
But I always, because I've dabbled in stock for years and stuff like that. So, but I always wanted to ask somebody who's really deep into it. How do you feel like when you get a stock and it's getting up there? What's that feeling that you get when you're like, all right, it's time for me to let go? I know everybody say, well, it's according to your money and how much money you got, but I know you get some kind of feeling. I always think of y'all having all these monitors on, watching the stock market and watching the news and all this kind of stuff. Watching that's how I envision it. So what's your process as far as like, it's time to let this one go?
Okay, so here's the thing you have to realize, that with everyone, their strategy is different based on what they want out of it, right? So some people just literally look at stocks as an alternative to savings and loans, right? So it's an alternative to putting my money in the bank and getting a fraction of a percent in return. So if I can buy a stock for $100, it goes up to 110. I sell it, I made 10%. And if I continue those averages, I will make more than putting my money in the bank. I look at it sort of differently. When you own a stock, right, over a long period of time and the company grows, eventually you'll start to get dividends. The company will pay out profits to stock shareholders, okay? Now, what happens is, if you own enough stock, those dividends start to become substantial, right? If you own enough stocks and in various companies, those dividends start to become very, very substantial, and you can live off that, right? My personal motto is live off dividends. And that's not just from the stock market, but just in life in general. Like, you invest in real estate, and you live off the returns from your investment. So how people approach when to sell a stock, it really just depends on what they're looking to get from just trading in general? Are you, a day trader? Are you just looking to turn a quick profit? Are you trying to hold on to this company for the long run? So if you would have bought like Apple stock, if you would have bought Facebook stock, if you would have bought Amazon stock back in, let's say, 2009, with just $1,000 in each of those companies, you would have that $3,000 investment would be worth around a couple $100,000 now, just in how much the company has grown. So that's the way I look at it, right? I want to hold on to a stock for a long time, get dividends from the stock, and then the appreciation of the stock price will give you a nice sizable portfolio. So what I do is, if I buy a stock for $1,000, I'll slowly sell shares if it goes up to get my initial investment back. But once I've covered my initial investment, whatever shares I have left, I let it ride.
Okay. All right.
I want to kind of play off of that. In your personal opinion, because I know a lot of people out there who don't follow you, who's thinking about the stock market. Mm-hmm. I think there's a misconception that you need a lot of money to invest. So can you kind of let people know about what an initial investment can be and what it can turn into? Because like I said, I think a lot of people think that it's a rich man's game. You got to have a lot of money to do this. And I personally understand now that's not true.
Yeah, you don't have to have a lot of money to invest, because again, it's an alternative to savings. So if you normally would save, let's say, $1,000 a year, right? And over time you get compounded interest on that $1,000. Over about 10 years, you may have, I don't know, $10,300, right? You're getting something insignificant back on your initial investment. But if you put that $1,000 into the stock market and you invested it wisely, right? So you were picking stocks that were performers, that $10,000 investment could literally be $50,000 or $60,000. So people who really don't have a lot of money should be investing in stocks, because you're not going to get anything back from just putting in the bank. You're not getting nothing back from just putting it in the bank. And normally when you put money in the bank, you look at it as money that's always there for you to have access to, right? But when you put money in stocks and you have a portfolio, you're not just going to go and divest your portfolio that quickly, right? Like, you want to hit the club right quick, you're not going to go sell some shares to go get $200 so you can go to the club. So when you invest into the markets, it's a better way of investing because you get a better return. But it's a more disciplined way of investing because you're not just always running and spending your savings at the drop of a hat. So if you don't have a lot of money, that's all the more reason for you to invest.
Okay.
All right. Basically, question. I got a couple people that's like Rob. Dr. Rob, and I think that he's actually on. He wants to ask you a couple questions on camera. So I'm going to go ahead and let him ask. I'm going to let him ask his questions on camera real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and move forward.
Hey, Sonny, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for doing this. All right.
Hey, yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah. I was very happy with SNDL first week. That was a great start. I've got over 5,000 shares because I was believing in what you're saying, and it shot up. I was doing the funny dance. It went up to 25,000. I was dancing, and then I saw it go down to 14. I quickly got out. So what main one was saying about when you know to get out, after week one, I learned that's when you get out. Don't get greedy. But
as long as you get your initial 5,000 back, then it's house money after that.
Oh yeah, I got way more than that, but I'm still missing that 11,000 that disappeared though. but yeah, what I wanted to say, I watched Chris Sane, Larry Johns, and a few other stock mo on YouTube. What can we do to get your YouTube page started? Because if we can get enough of that following, I'm seeing some of them got 545,000 followers. If we can get it to that level, we can get it to what you want it to get to. Because I think the biggest problem we have with week 2, week 3 is that folks, to create the spark you're talking about, we need enough shares purchased. So somebody buying 40 shares, 50 shares. I know everybody buy at their own pockets limit, and that's fine. Those folks are the extra boost. But we need enough people to be buying 2, 3, 5,000, 10,000 shares for it to create a spark. Or else, kind of like, I think that's what happened with GTE. By the time we got to week 3, everybody's still stuck. Their money's still stuck on week 2. And then, for example, when you come out tomorrow, we don't even know who's gonna be able to buy if they even have cash available. So, what do you think on that?
You know what? You bring up some good, valid points, man. I mean, ultimately, this is all an experiment. Like, this is literally, I had the idea and I just did it, right? So, the weekly thing, I'm starting to, because I made a poll and I asked them, did they want to do monthly or weekly, right? Because I don't know everybody's financial situation. 77% came back and said they wanted the weekly. Now what I'm understanding is that, you know, your heart might be in the right place, but your pockets might not be in the right place, right? So I think people want to do weekly, but I don't think they can sustain it, right? In terms of like, because it's 2 parts. Not only do you have to buy the stock, but you also have to raise the awareness, right? Share the post, call your friends, and do all of that. And I think that's the part that people may be lacking on, right? That we're not getting that wave of, you know, information sharing. So that's why I consciously picked stocks that I knew would be long-term performers. So even if you didn't see an initial, bump the first week or the second week, it would still be a good stock for you to hold on to, right? Long-term, because of what the company is doing. Eventually, I want to get to a point, and this is the end goal, right? I want to get to a point where we're just literally doing Black companies, right? Where every month we're choosing one Black company, right? And we're investing in that company. But in order to do that, we have to have a large enough following so that it makes a significant difference to that company. So now they can start performing. We want to jumpstart this business, right? So to answer your question, it's a work in progress, right? So, you know, sometimes you have to do something, go back to the drawing board, tweak it, see where you went right, see where you went wrong, and go back at it. But I think our biggest challenge is getting the information. Because, listen, I'm not Wall Street Trapper. I'm not Chris. I'm not really telling people to buy stocks because, you know, I'm doing all this analysis. What I'm doing is trying to create a movement and get that movement to be large enough so that we can really start to shake the market. We can really move the needle. Black people are the most influential people on the planet, right? We could start a dance like nothing. We could start a challenge and the whole world would be doing that challenge. Why can't we have that same impact financially? Why can't we do those same things with the financial world, right? It's not that we can't, it's just that there's no one doing it, right? Telling people to buy this or that stock, that's great, but ultimately we all have to have a singular focus, and then we can move the needle and we can literally resurrect companies from the dead.
And when you say followers, you mean specifically people who are investing and sharing the word.
Yes.
So that those people invest. You're not just talking about not YouTube. No. You're talking about people who are actually going to make the calls, share the links, get the information out there about specific companies.
Exactly.
In this case, Black-owned companies.
Yeah, like if you go to Wall Street Bets, right? They have, I think now they have up to 9 million people who follow that blog. It's on Reddit. 9 million people. That's very, very powerful. Because what they're doing is literally shaking the market, because no one had ever thought before now to use social media to influence stock markets, okay? Stock markets have always just been people investing. You have some hedge fund guys. They might buy 1 million shares at one time. You have some Wall Street insiders who may share information to their rich friends. But no one had ever thought, what if somebody who had, let's say, for example, Courtney or Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian might have 14 million followers on Instagram. So Kim Kardashian says, everybody go buy this product, and that product sells. But what if Kim Kardashian said, everybody go buy this stock? right? No one had ever done it before. No one who had a large enough following had ever been able to, in a position to tell people, go do this or buy this stock. But what if we did? Now we're seeing it, you know, with Wall Street Bets, we're seeing that there is that influence now. There is people that are using that model to now literally, GameStop was supposed to be dead. Like GameStop was, that's why so many people were betting against it, because no one goes to the store to buy a video game, right? Video games are all online now, right? So everybody was betting against GameStop. GameStop was supposed to be out of business. Those people got that stock to become worth $500 a share. So you go from being almost out of business to being worth what Amazon is worth.
Wow.
Right? That is very powerful, and we cannot allow just white people. And I'm not saying Wall Street Bets is white, because anybody can go follow Wall Street Bets. But I'm saying you can't allow just the dominant society to have that power when we are more influential than they are.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, because, you know, with the onset of the pandemic and everything, I mean, really going into the store was like, So I was thinking, well, maybe are they coming out with a different business model? Are they going to be doing things like through the mail, or like, why was it so hot all of a sudden? Because, you know, that happens when you get into other areas, like, you know, how Amazon started off as this, and now they are literally everything, all kind of services, this, that. So when businesses do that, I can see that stock going up, and I can see that being a hot thing. But it's like, what happened with GameStop?
Well, they weren't. So to explain it real quickly, they weren't ever trying. Okay, so when you buy a stock, essentially you're making a bet on the stock, right? So let's say a stock is worth $1. When you buy that stock, what you're saying is somewhere in the not so distant future, that stock is going to be worth more than $1. That's what you're saying, right? It's again, you're betting it's going to be worth more than $1. But there's an opposite end of that. There's a thing called a short, or short selling, where you can essentially bet that the stock will be less than $1. Okay? So what happened was, there were billions of dollars betting against this company. So they bought the short option, right? They were betting against the stock. GameStop, the Reddit guys found this out, and they let that information go to their followers that, listen, there's billions of dollars betting against this company. Now, the way short selling works, let's say, for example, you had a car, right? But you were going to be gone out of the country for a year, and your car is worth $10,000. And I say, hey, let me borrow your car, and when you come back, I'll give it back to you. I take your car, I sell it for $10,000. Okay, you don't know I sold it, but I sold it for $10,000. Now, my idea is, when you come back, by the time you come back, that car would go down in price. I can buy the same exact car and give it back to you. Right? No harm, no foul. So that's how short selling works. You borrow the stock, right? And if it's worth $1, when the stock price falls to like 70 cents, you buy the stock for 70 cents and replace it, and you make the 30-cent difference between. So when they were shorting GameStop, they actually didn't own the stock. Okay? So as the stock price, they're betting that the price is going to go down, and then they'll buy it to replace what they originally sold.
Okay.
But when the stock price started to go up, as the price keeps rising, you're losing money, because you have to buy the stock to replace it. So that's what triggered the effect. The Reddit guys went and bought the stock, drove the price up. All these hedge funds started to panic because they were losing money, and they had to buy more of the stock to replace what they had borrowed. That's short selling. So they had to cover their short position, and that's what. So that the original goal of the Wall Street Bets guys were never to invest in the company long term. They knew that so much stocks were outstanding because of the short positions that they were just basically forcing those guys to close their positions.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I know it's kind of weird.
No, it actually makes sense. I had no clue what was going on with GameStop. I thought maybe they came out with a new business model. Seriously.
No, they never intended on making, like, resurrecting the company for good. They were just upset originally that so many people were essentially waiting for the stock to crash. So they as a kind of a FU to them, they bought the stock and drove the price up.
Gotcha.
And made money in the process.
That's
you know
interesting.
what's scary about that is like people don't understand the power that we actually have in the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you're talking about, what people need to embrace. That's what I meant about there's enough out here for all of us to eat, but people so focused on their own plate. That's the problem. And this goes back to like Dr. Claude Anderson talk about voting in the block. It's the same way with this. If we control the culture and the world pretty much moves how we move, we can move the stock market. And the real funny thing about the GameStop and AMC situation was you had rich people mad at the little guy and they immediately stopped people from making money. Not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do it. It's actually illegal. But
there were no laws being broken, no rules being broken.
No.
Nah, but they literally stopped it. That's why people don't want to mess with Robinhood anymore, because Robinhood prevented people from buying more shares. Okay. Matter of fact, it was, I can't remember the fourth one, but it was GameStop, AMC. It was BlackBerry. BlackBerry was another one, and it was one more.
No, Bed Bath Beyond.
Yeah.
Bed Bath Beyond,
huh? They literally stopped it because it's like they create the game. Now, here's the funny thing. I got a dude from Brooklyn and a dude from Miami on this webinar right now. Two hustlers. Basically, the hustlers figured out their game to beat them, and they got mad. They created it. They do it all the time. Insider trading, all that other shit. Soon as we get their game to beat them at their own shit, they stopped it. That's the reason why. To me, that's more of an incentive. We got to make sure that we keep doing it. But we got to do this shit in a block. That's the main thing. We have to make it go in the block.
So what I got from the GameStop thing, now the GameStop thing was basically just kind of a prank and a way to make money. But what it did was a light bulb went off. And up until just recently, this was something that people had never even thought of, right? This was something that people had never even considered, that, hey, we could all get together and buy shares in a particular company all at the same time, and we can manipulate the market, right? So when the sister asked, was it against the law? No, because no one had ever thought of it, right? It was not something that it was on anybody's radar. Nobody was thinking about it. And unfortunately, it happened with GameStop because they were trying to basically just screw over the hedge fund guys. But a light bulb went off and said, why we can't do that, right? Because they essentially saved a dying company, right? Why can't we do that? I mean, we don't have to necessarily save dying companies, but when these brothers, like it's a dude, Master P is working with, who has a car company, right? A black guy who created this car. Right now, eventually that company is more than likely going to go public. Why can't we all get behind, and millions and millions of us say, on this particular day, we're all going to buy this particular company. We're going to buy shares in this company, right? And if we make that go as viral as all these little dances and challenges, the busted challenge, if we make that go viral and people just take as much as $10 and buy some shares in the company, that company can be $1 billion company overnight because we made it so.
Right.
So that's what the GameStop thing showed me, is that we now have the power and the technology to do something that has never even been thought of, right? Which is collective investing.
Yes.
And that could change Black entrepreneurship in America.
But I tell you though, if you watch our show, if you've ever watched our show, people will probably consider me the Debbie Downer, because I don't ever have good news. There's always some bleak shit. But to be honest, people our age, I think if you're not unplugged at this point, what I'm saying, that mentality of coming together and doing stuff together, I just think we're so far lost. I think we have to start with our kids. Even with this GameStop thing, I read a story about this mother who bought her son. He plays video games all the time, so she bought him like 10 shares of GameStop for Christmas. That was his Christmas gift. And lo and behold, he made $3,200 off of this GameStop thing that happened. You know what I'm saying? And that
Wow.
sparked something in him. It was like, yo, I want to start investing. This kid's like 10, 11 years old, and now he's, wanting to do investing and stuff like that. This is where we need to start it. Our generation, we lost. The generation before us, they lost. We have to if we want to do stuff like that, I think we need to focus on our kids. That's why I'm teaching my kids to be entrepreneurs. I'm teaching my kids about money, how to take care of money, how money works, how credit works. I'm teaching them all this stuff because I don't want them to go blind like I did. And, just a quick story. I had Dollar General stock in 2009. It was like $23. I had like 500 shares of it. And I got to a point where I got into a little rough stretch and I sold it. You know what I'm saying? I needed some money. That showed me one thing, that a 401k, you can have money in a 401k, but guess what? You can't go and pull it out like I just pulled out my stock. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of taught me one thing on that. But it also taught me that, with this stock, now Dollar General stock is $192 a share. Now imagine if I had those 500 now and just held on to it, it's $192. Imagine where my money would be at right now. So,
and to your point, this is really important. I hear a lot of Black people talk about generational wealth. This is the conversation, and this is it's almost become a cliche. We throw that word out so much, right? And we think by starting a business and by making a lot of money, that somehow that money is going to be passed down generationally, okay? But here's the thing. We've had a long enough time to see Black millionaires from the 60s and 40s and 50s. And what did their kids do with the money? Right? Like when we look at Madam C.J. Walker was one of the first female millionaires in the country. Never mind the fact that she was Black. She was one of the first female self-made millionaires, right? Madam C.J. Walker's granddaughter, right, or great-granddaughter, is alive today, okay? Madam C.J. Walker had, back in the 20s and 30s, she had what would have been equivalent to about $50 million today, okay?
Wow.
She owned a house that was literally worth tens of thousands of dollars. And this is back when you could buy a whole house for like $400, right? So Madam C.J. Walker's great-granddaughter, the bulk of her wealth came from selling her great-grandmother's story. She doesn't own, Madam C.J. Walker could have owned Harlem, right? Madam C.J. Walker could have owned so many things in New York, but she doesn't, and she didn't. Because most Black people, we don't know how to build wealth. We know how to make money, but we don't know how to build wealth. And there's just foundational wealth building tools that we don't understand. So many Black people don't own a home. Only 40% of Black people own a home. And home ownership is the #1 wealth building tool. Okay, so forget stock markets. Just simple investing, Black people do not understand. They would rather go out and pay rent and pay somebody else's rent. Okay, so we need to change the mentality if we're ever going to have generational wealth. Because I'm telling you, with the majority of Black people now, if you made millions of dollars and you died, your kids would probably just spend it all off until they were broke. They're not going to take your 10 million and turn it into 100. And their grandkids aren't going to take the 100 million and turn it into $1 billion. It's not going to happen because we're #1 consumers, right? We buy up everything we see. And #2, we don't understand wealth building. We don't understand diversifying your portfolio. We don't understand ETFs. We don't understand real estate. You can just buy land. If you don't even want to say, I don't want to buy a house, just buy vacant land and hold on to it.
Yeah.
You touching on a lot of great points. And I think that people have to take from this conversation, it goes deeper than the stock market. It definitely goes deeper than the stock market.
Yes.
And the other thing about that is it doesn't matter how early you start. Because the one thing that I know about children is, and this coming from somebody who ain't got no kids, I just pay attention and it's kind of obvious. Children are sponges. they will pick up on stuff faster than you will, especially if you teach them early enough. What happens if you get your 7, 8, 9-year-old interested in the stock market and they learn and they pick up on certain things? They're going to be able to teach you. Then what does that do? What do kids usually do? They tell their friends, yo, I did this, I made this. They start talking about money. It changes the whole dynamic. And then you're teaching them financial education, financial literacy, financial independence. That's where we have to get to, because we're in a state whereas we're dependent on everything else. Go to the supermarket to get your food. You got to go to this store to get your clothes. You got to go to your job to get money. This, that, whatever. What happens right now if everything is shut down? Power grid, we done. What you gonna do? That's what we got to get to. That's why everybody needs to play their role. You got we talking to Sonny right now, who's an entrepreneur. He's talking about the stock market. You got Jay and Jermaine. They're both into IT. All I got is my mouth. I can just talk shit. I can network. I'm a different type of cat. I can maneuver. But everybody to me has a strength. Everybody has a strength. We as a people have to start focusing on surrounding ourselves with people whose strengths are our weaknesses. Now, our strength is culture. We can control culture. What if 40 million people said, you know what? We about to break the stock market in our favor. We about to make the stock market work for us. We're gonna start buying in blocks, this, that, whatever. It changes the entire game. But once again, that involves trust, and it also, you have to eliminate the ego. Got to eliminate your ego. That's the biggest thing.
I want to show you something. Think about this. We've all heard of bar mitzvahs, right?
Yes.
We all know what a bar mitzvah is. Okay. So when a Jewish boy has a bar mitzvah, he's 13 years old. All of the friends and family give him money. They don't give him like gifts, like toys and stuff.
Yeah.
They give him money. Okay. The parents then take that money. It's usually going to be into the tens of thousands. Okay. The parents then take that money and invest, and then usually they'll hold on to that money until their mid-20s, early 30s. So we're seeing at least 10 years of compounded interest. So by the time that young Jewish boy is 25, 26, 29, he has literally access to anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 to start a business, to buy a home, to do whatever. Okay. Now that's just something simple that Black people can institute. Simple.
Right.
Right. I mean,
get the shoes and the clothes and all that and the non-essentials. Why not give gifts of, look, here's some cash, put this up for, a fund for your kid. That sounds incredible.
Exactly. And at some point, we could say, okay, this birthday, instead of buying my son gifts, buy him stocks.
Yeah.
Right? How many people have bought their sons Nikes and Air Jordans, but never bought the kids stock in the company?
Right.
Right. You'll see your kid on Twitter all day long, buy them Twitter stock. See, what I'm saying is what we have to do as a people is change our mentality. Poverty is a mind state.
Yes.
Right? You could give a poor man $1 million, he's going to be poor again. But if you take $1 million from a rich man, he's going to make it back. Right. Poverty is a mindset. It's not a financial state of being. It's a mental state of being. So the problem is we have to stop thinking like poor people. Once we stop thinking like poor people, the wealth is going to come. But we have to stop thinking like poor people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I want to make mention, Dr. Rob just he put in the chat that he said, I made my 18-year-old son open an Ameritrade account and make sure that he buys the stocks himself. He said, if my parents did the same for me in my young days, I would be wealthy today. I will be well off today with the knowledge alone. In other words, he being educated in how to build that wealth. So second thing is, so I kind of want to go back to the talking about stocks and whatever. You mentioned Master P earlier. So I was reading an article that was saying that he's considering buying Reebok. Him and yeah. What do you think about that? Is Reebok? I'm sure Reebok is public, right?
Reebok is part of a larger company that is public.
Oh, okay. So what do you think about that?
That would be great. I mean, that, and again, that could be something that we could get behind once we already have that collective mindset.
That was my next question. Would you like how do you research and even just for, we're going to focus on Black companies, how do you get into researching, that specifically? Like I just happened to come across, that particular article randomly. I had no clue that he was about to buy anything.
So the three things I look at for a stock is one, the size, because being that we're small, in order to have a large enough impact, the company itself has to be small, right? So I look at the size of the company. Number one, could we, make a dent in the company and get it to, because we're not necessarily looking to grow the company ourselves, but to create a spark that can turn into a fire, right? So I look at the size of the company. The second thing I look at is the stock currently undervalued? Like, is it value there to begin with? Okay. So when you look at, like, for example, Sundial, one thing with Sundial is most of their competitors are worth in the teens, right? And that stock, when I originally looked at it, it was worth 82 cents. So the stock was drastically undervalued. When they first did their IPO, I think the IPO listed at $13. So the stock was drastically undervalued, right? And the third thing I look for is potential for growth. Where is that industry going? Where is that area going, right? So Sundial, they're in weed, obviously. With GTE, they're in oil and gas. And what happened with the pandemic, people aren't driving as much. So oil prices went down.
Yes.
Okay. Now with the vaccine and more people getting out and traveling, because the biggest consumers of fuel are airlines, right? They buy up most of the fuel. Well, if you don't have as many flights going out, you don't have them buying as much fuel.
Yeah.
So no matter how you slice it, 2021 is going to look drastically different for oil and gas than 2020 did, right? So we're getting in on a company that's drastically undervalued, and the future is brighter than its past, right? So that's what I look at now. Going forward, right, if we, let's say in the next month or so, we have 2 million people on board, right? Now that's a large enough group that the first thing goes away. We don't need to invest in small businesses anymore, right? The second thing, is it undervalued? It doesn't matter, because we're going to add the value.
Yes.
The third thing is the future bright. We're going to make the future bright. Any company worth its weight, if you give them an influx of $100 million, right, they're going to get the tide, unless the company is just being ran by some inept people that don't know what the hell they're doing. But if the company is worth its weight, then if you give them $100 to $200 million in investments, they'll know what to do with that.
Yes.
So once we get large enough, then it's just going to be simply looking at Black businesses that need a break. Black businesses that, can use an influx of cash. And Reebok would be perfect if Master B would buy it.
Yeah, I definitely I have it in my radar right now, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to make the announcement on Reebok is going to make the announcement on March 10th, I think. It was either the 10th.
They're definitely going to sell it. Are they going to sell it to Master P is the question.
Right.
Right.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Because he already had, didn't he have a sneaker company himself at some point?
Yeah. Nah.
What you have to understand is that a lot of times we are blackballed on purpose. They don't want us to have too much control, especially in the things we spend our money on the most.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If Master P does buy Reebok, just his cultural cachet alone would take a lot of money from Nike, a lot of money from these other companies, right? So those companies have a vested interest to kind of keep him out, right? So they might, go talk to the people in charge and say, look, if you sell it to this guy and not this guy, we'll kick you some change, or we'll look out for you, or we'll do this for you. So I'm saying, so
some companies can influence how companies sell and who they sell.
Yes. When you get to those levels, when you get to the point where you're talking about billions of dollars changing hands, listen, the NFL and the NBA is majority white owned for a reason. It's not because black people don't have money to buy those teams. There are plenty of black people who can buy these teams if they want to, right?
Yeah.
But it's majority black, it's majority white owned for a reason. It's not accidental, right? Like when you look at certain industries, like when we say, okay, the hair and nail industry, right? Why do Asians control that industry? It's not by accident, right? There are black people who want to. One of the first businesses I opened back in the day was a clothing store. So I was 22 years old. I opened a clothing store in Miami, and there were other stores, right, that were owned by Arabs and stuff like that, who were telling these companies not to sell to me. Like, oh, if you sell to him, we're going to close your account and stop carrying your brand. Now, why did they do that? Because I was one of the few black-owned stores in the city, and they do not want to let black people into those, because that's how they make money to feed their family.
Right.
Like every Arab that I knew who owned a clothing store, they had literal cousins and brothers who owned other clothing stores. So you start to let black people in and be successful, then now the Arabs start to get squeezed out.
But
so they were literally telling other companies not to sell to me, and if they did, they were going to close their account.
But you know what stops that though? We stopped that because you stop shopping at them Arab stores. If we collectively stop shopping at them and go shop with you, then they won't have you. They won't have no choice but to say, "Well, hey, he's bringing in all this. I'm not gonna stop making my money because you want me to. You ain't making no money." But we refuse to come together. Like a couple weeks ago, I sat outside a hair store. Asian dude owns a hair store. Saw about 50 black women walk through there. Now imagine all them black women take all their money and maybe start their own hair store, hair beauty store. I mean, if we stop patronizing these places, we can run them out of business.
But so it's 2 parts to that, right? One, here's the real world application of what you just said, right? Let's say Keisha goes and opens her hair store, right? And now you want black people to come to your hair store. Keisha is selling products. She's selling, hair oil or hair gel or whatever. Those Korean owners will go to those vendors and say, hey, if you sell the Keisha Beauty, we will not buy your stuff no more. And it's not just one store saying that. They're saying, like, because they got cousins who own other hair stores all throughout the city. So they'll say, all of my family will stop buying your product. So even if Keisha was selling that hair gel by the dozen, it doesn't account for 20 stores for them losing that account. So it's easier for them to just say, forget Keisha and keep selling to the Arabs. So we're talking about the vendors, right? Yeah. But then you also have black people. Black people don't have to actually care. I mean, I seen a video where this Korean beat up this sister in a hair store, and the next day they just had a sale, and sister was lined up around the corner. They have to care.
I saw that video, and the brothers, we were standing out protesting, and the sisters was like, "Oh, y'all get out of here! They got this hair off 50% off," and I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh, so the store had a sale after the fight.
Right, and the brothers came out to protest in front of the store, and the sisters were like, "Hey, man, y'all get out of here! We trying to go get this
50% off.
It's 50% off. Y'all get out of here!" And it was like, "Yo, this is crazy."
So it's a 2-part thing that we're fighting against. One, we're fighting against the apathy of our own people, right? A lot of our people, unfortunately, do not care enough. They'll literally support a business just because it's closer, right? Like, hey, it's a closer shoe store to me. Why would I go 10 miles out the way to this other shoe store, right? So we're fighting against the apathy of our own people, and also we're fighting against the backdoor blackballing that happens, right? These other people are keeping us out of these industries because they know that we are their #1 consumers, right? Asians have collectively the most wealth in America, more than even white people, and most of their wealth comes because they own businesses that sell specifically to black people. Chinese restaurants, hair and nails. The average woman spends about $80 getting their nails done, and they get them done every 2 weeks. So that's $160 that the average black woman spends. There's 22 million black women in America, and all of that money primarily goes into the hands of Asians, tax-free, because they ain't paying no taxes on it.
I want to touch touch on two things. What you mentioned about Reebok, and not necessarily Jay, but I think Sonny and Main One, y'all missed something about them buying Reebok. It's a caveat to Reebok if they were to buy it. And when Sonny mentioned Michael Jordan, do y'all realize if Master P and Byron Davis, whatever, if he becomes the owner, and you have Iverson as the face of Reebok, Iverson is an icon. He's different than Jordan. He's our cat. Reebok would explode because now Iverson is the face of Reebok. Jordan is the face of Nike, but think about it. He's Jordan. It's different. You got people. Everybody want to rock with LeBron. Everybody fuck with Allen Iverson. Reebok would go on a whole nother level. So I would love to see that. But to get back to the stock thing, I want to ask Sonny. Me personally, due to a conversation I had with a friend of mine, if the stock isn't $20 or less a share, I really don't do it because it's out of my price range. But I'm gonna use Sundial for an example. I was able to get 589 shares of Sundial. For you personally, would you rather get 589 shares of Sundial or 1 share of Tesla?
Well, so here's the thing. A ton of feathers or a ton of bricks is still a ton. So if a stock goes up 8%, you make 8%, whether you had 800 shares of it or you had 1 share, right? But in terms of the multiple shares, it's sometimes better to have multiple shares because especially if you're talking about dividends, right? And you're also talking about growth. The likelihood of a stock that costs, let's say, $400, the likelihood of that going to 800 is pretty unique, right? It's going to be a long time before that stock goes from 400 to 800. But if you buy a share for $1, like for example, Sundial, in 2 days, it went from $1.30 to almost $4, right? So the likelihood of that happening with a stock that costs $400, $300, $200 is very unlikely. So that's why I go for smaller cap stocks because their growth potential is a lot higher. It's easy for a stock to go from 50 cents to $1.50. That's nothing. That could happen in one afternoon. But for a stock to go from $1.50 to $450 in one afternoon is pretty unlikely.
Okay, the reason that I asked that is because something like Tesla, I know is long term. That's definitely a long term play because, like Chris saying, he said he thinks that Tesla is going to end up being a $1,500 stock. But the way I look at it is, if you were to get the lower stocks and you do what you said, pretty much take out your initial profit once you start making some money, and everything else is house money, you can use that to invest in the bigger stocks. You can invest, you go ahead and invest in the stocks that have dividends and things like that. So, but I think it depends on the person. For me personally,
I mean, here's the thing: you can be a because those stocks are called blue chips, right? You can be a blue chip investor if you have millions of dollars. So going back to a question you asked earlier, is it for the wealthy? Well, yeah. I mean, if you invest $1 million into a bunch of blue chip stocks, over time you would have made more money on that $1 million investment than you would have just letting it sit in the bank. So a lot of those blue chip stocks, that's why they perform so well, because they're being invested in by people who have tens of millions of dollars. But for us, it's better to start with smaller companies with the goal that they're going to get to Tesla one day. Because if you invest in like for example, Facebook, when Facebook first did their IPO back in, I think, 2009, 2010, they were like less than like $20. Like it was maybe like let's call it less than $40. And I think now Facebook is trading at like $200 something, like $300 something, something like that. That's more our lane, right? That's more what I would advise, our people who make less than $100,000 a year, is to try to find those type of stocks if you're talking about a long-term investment, because you would much rather your investment go from $40 to $400 over 10 years, then a stock go from 400 to, let's say, 550. So we need to be able to identify smaller cap stocks like Beyond. The last big sum of money I made is when Beyond Burgers, or no, Beyond Meat, yeah, Beyond Meat.
Yeah, Beyond Meat.
And they make Beyond Burger, right? So when Beyond Meat first came out, I think they were like selling like less than $20, right? And I bought a large amount of it because here's the thing: if you know, we're going to a vegan society whether we like it or not, because the population is growing, and we don't have enough space to fit all of the actual cattle and livestock that we need to feed the planet. So we have to go to plants whether we like it or not. So whether you want to be vegan or you don't want to be vegan, the long term for the society is going to be more plant-based diets because we cannot sustain all this livestock, right? So I know that over the long term, Beyond Burgers and Beyond Meat is going to be a replacement for a lot of this livestock. So I bought a lot of it, okay? And I think within a few days, I had doubled my money.
Wow.
And Beyond is going to continue to grow as time goes on. I think I bought that stock back in 2018, about 2 years ago. So over time, Beyond will eventually get to be what Amazon and what Tesla is over time. So this is what I want Black people to walk away from. If you take $1,000 and you buy into these little small companies here and there, over the course of 10 years, that initial $1,000 that you invested every blue moon, you'll have a portfolio worth a couple $100,000, right? And that's when you're able to buy your house, pay off your student loans, start that business, right? A lot of us want to start businesses, buy a liquor store, buy a hair store, right? But we don't have the seed money. That could be your seed money if you invest smartly, because you can identify stocks that are going to grow from less than $20 to more than $200. That's not hard to do, right? Because it's usually just new companies that will be the future because you know what that company adds to the ecosphere. You know what they add to society. So Twitter ain't going nowhere. Facebook ain't going nowhere, right? So there's certain things you can invest in that are going to make you money over the long haul.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's just like in 2020, during the pandemic, I made money off of Royal Caribbean and Carnival. Man, Royal Caribbean had got all the way down to $19. And once it shot out to like $90. And then I saw it start creeping down. I was like, all right, time to get out, because they started, making all these announcements about they canceling their cruises, selling their cruise ships and stuff. So I got out. So, quick plays like that, but I normally, and I don't know if this is how you do it, but I look at the 52-year week high, and I look at the low. That's how I kind of gauge, and I guess it's probably rudimentary, but that's how I gauge what stocks I kind of want to jump in, and how I do. Is that kind of what you look at as well, or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, you do want to look at past performance, but here's the thing: sometimes we overthink stocks too much, right? Remember, at the end of the day, these are people selling a product to society. Okay, so with that in mind, you want to look at, for example, Royal Caribbean. You know why Royal Caribbean stock is down, because nobody's going on cruises. Okay. Eventually people will go back on cruises. Like, cruises is not a part of our society we're going to do without. Where people are going to go. I'm from Florida. People like to cruise, right? So regardless of what they did over the last year, because I think the pandemic first started, last
March, April,
March,
something like that. Yeah.
The shutdown, yeah.
So if you look at their 52-week high, it might be extraordinarily low compared to where they will be a year from now. So what I like to do is more so look at, like, sundial. Weed is going to be legal. Even if the federal government doesn't make weed legal, every year more and more states are making weed recreational in their state. So even if the federal government, let's say Joe Biden never legalizes weed federally, right? You still have Florida, Arizona, New Jersey that are making these laws for recreational marijuana legal. So you're going to have more and more people buying weed. So there's no, unless Sundial just runs their company off a cliff, there's no way that company doesn't go to be worth less than $1.30. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's not going to happen. Oil companies, with nobody driving and nobody flying, of course, oil was selling for, $65 a barrel or less than $65 a barrel. But when we remember before the shutdown, oil was going for about $80 a barrel. So that these things are going to turn around and certain things are going to be valuable. So sometimes we overthink it. And I just say, hey, look at the company's future. That's the biggest indicator of whether or not that stock is going to make you money. Is where is the future look? What's the future looking like? When I bought Facebook, I knew that Facebook was going to be something that we weren't going to do without. Facebook wasn't going nowhere no time soon because it just became a part of our society. So I didn't care if they were selling for $80, I would have bought it.
Yeah.
For everybody out there, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you tell people about what's going on, because we want to make sure that we're getting this information out to you. Make sure you spread the word and tell everybody. Sonny, somebody asked, do y'all trade options?
No. I wouldn't advise it. And that's only because that's not for novice, because you can lose with options. You can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot of money. Right?
What is it?
So
just a quick yeah.
So options trading is when you're not necessarily buying the stock, you're buying options on the stock, right? So like when we're talking about short selling, right?
Yeah.
That type of thing. You're not necessarily buying the stock, you're buying options on the stock. And you can make a lot of money and you can also lose a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So with buying a stock, right? If you buy a stock, let's say a stock is $1, chances are that stock is not going to go to $0 at the end of the day, right? So you could lose money, but your losses are kind of covered because the company is just not going to go to a zero value, right? In a short amount of time. But just like with short selling, right? If you bought an option on the stock and you thought it was going to go down and it goes up, the higher it goes, the more money you lose. So you can lose a lot of money fairly quickly if you don't know what you're doing. And in order to buy options, you have to have intimate knowledge of the stock's peak periods, of its low periods.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know what we call the Greeks, which are basically the different algorithms of when this stock is going to be at its lowest and when it's going to be at its highest.
It sounds like you really need a representative helping you out with that, and not to be doing it on your own too much.
It's just not for novice investors. It's just not. Yeah. It's for full-time investors, people who do it for a living, who can sit in front of a computer and look at numbers all day. It's not for somebody who say, "Hey, I buy a lot of Nikes. Let me buy Nike stock."
Gotcha.
Right? It's for people who kind of do that for a living.
Okay, I have someone who have a question for you. And I feel like you've already really covered this, but I think we should reiterate it. She says, so you are speaking of guidance essentially, but how do you really convince people this is or has potential? And this she's talking about is when you were talking about the movement of us putting our money together and investing into the small companies. She's asking, how do you convince people that's it has potential?
I mean, here's the thing. It's been proven, right? So Wall Street Bets and Reddit has proven to us that they could take a company that was literally about to close its doors and turn them into a $500 plus stock. Okay, so it's proven that this strategy does work. Now, what's unproven is if we can get all Black people on board, or a significant amount of Black people on board, to do the same thing for Black companies. That's unproven.
Okay.
But we know that if we do a call to action and a bunch of people buy a particular stock, that we can change the fortunes of that company. Okay.
Gotcha.
But can we galvanize people? That's
the risk. Right. Yeah. Okay. And and to take that a little bit further, platforms like this is where you get your education from. and then the other, other people doing. But see, that's another thing. Like I see all these people on YouTube. Like I never know, like really who's in it just for the following or who's in it for the movement. Because it sounds like to me what you're talking about is more of a movement. Like, I don't know. Some of it sounds very schemish to me. Like they're doing it just to push something, to create something and get followings.
Sonny, before you answer that, let me say something to Jay. I definitely want to touch on that. I've always wanted to get into the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how I was going to do it. I got a younger cousin that graduated from Morgan State. He's into finance. He understands it and everything like that. But my cousin here in Georgia, who happens to be from Miami, he was like, "Yo, do you follow Chris Sane?" I said, "No, who the fuck you talking about?" So I started following Chris Sane. And then at the beginning of the year, he talked about what stocks to get into for the new year. Because what he did was in the beginning of 2020, he went from $0 to $100,000 on the stock. But he showed you every single stock that he was investing. Like he showed you. So basically, you're following what he's talking about. If you choose, if you choose to do it. Same way with Sonny. If you choose to buy Sundial, it's your choice. So I reached out to my man's back at home in Jersey. Y'all know him, KZ. I mentioned Chris Sane to him. He said, "Yo, I was invested in the stock market. I was fucking up. I was losing money. I came across Chris Sane. I followed him for 6 months. And I was like, yo, how the fuck is this dude always right?" He started following Chris Sane. So he kind of backed me up that I made the right decision. He makes money every day in the stock market. But he's learning from Chris Sane to not only do what he says, but he's doing his own thing through him learning the stock market. That's the main thing. So it depends. So when I look at somebody like Sonny, the way he did it off of, yo, we could do this. I look at Chris Sane, you got Wall Street Trapper, you got Dr. Boyce Watkins. We got the people, but it's the trust. And the crazy thing about it, not just black, I'm going to say black people, but it's everybody. But I'm going to mention black people for now. We have to get out of, we got to make the money right then and there. The stock market is volatile. Guess what? You're going to lose. You're going to lose. But you don't necessarily lose until you take your money out and you sell. If you have a bad day, you got a bad day. Tomorrow, prime example, like with Sundial. Shit. You can, all your stocks, you could be down. Sundial, now Sonny, when you finally meet, you might smack me in the back of my head because Jermaine he wanted to do it too, but he wasn't here. When that shit went up to like $4, I was doing it like, oh shit, my dumb ass. I didn't think to sell because I remember when you was like, it's gonna go to 10. I was like, fuck it, I'll wait. So I'm watching it go up. My portfolio was up to like 10 G's because Sundial was up $2,000. Mm-hmm. And my ass sat there and watched that shit go like this. But my man KZ said, take your emotion out of the stock market completely. If you take your emotions out, you're good. I didn't get mad. I'm like, because he said, it's always going to be stocks like that that's going to go up. It's just a matter of so you're good. That's that to me, for me, that's how it is because I'm a new person in the market.
Here's the focal part of this strategy that I want everyone to understand. It's not only just collective buying, right? Because you could tell everybody to go buy a stock. Let's say we tell everybody to go buy stock X, right? And stock X, people buy throughout the week, right? You'll start to see the needle move incrementally throughout the week. But the key part of our strategy is to all buy at the same time. And I'll tell you why that's important. Because in the markets, right, there are literally algorithms that are set that once a stock price jumps a certain percentage to automatically buy it. Mm-hmm. People already have these things set up, right? That once a stock jumps up, let's say 10% over a certain amount of time, to buy it. Not only that, Robinhood, a lot of these apps where people go to buy stock, they report to the hedge funds. So if they see everybody buying up a certain stock, they'll report that information to the hedge funds, and then they come in with their millions of dollars and buy up the same stock. So the focal point of the strategy is not only just collective buying, but buying all in a short window of time. Because then you jump the stock up, and then a lot of people flock to it and then also buy it. So we know 4,000 people or 10,000 people you're not taking a stock from $130 to $4. What you're doing is you're taking a stock from $130 to $180. And then they'll look at that jump and say, wow, this stock went from $130 to $180 within 4 hours. I'm going to buy some of that. So people who don't even know you or know anything about Black Tuesday, they start buying. Now the stock goes to $250. Now they say, whoa, this stock opened at $130 and it closed at $250. I'm buying some of that. Then it goes from $250. So what we're doing is creating the initial spark. And the way we do that is not only buying the same stock, but buying it at the same time. That's the important part of the equation. Because once you jump that stock up a certain amount of percentage, it triggers bells and whistles for a bunch of people to now flock. It's like literally dropping the chum in the water and all of the fish start eating it. So we're just the initial spark to get everybody else to start buying it.
And you provide this type of information on your Instagram page and the videos and everything?
On Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. So we could do that. We could replicate that with any business. So let's say Master P does buy Reebok. Okay. If you had 500,000 or 1 million Black people who all at one time say they're going to buy at least 100 shares of Reebok, that amount of stock purchasing and within that little window would jump it so high that everybody else would start to jump on board. Because that's how stocks work. Everybody wants to be a part of a stock that's moving up. So once they see that stock went from A to B in a short period of time, then you have all of these other millions of investors are going to start buying it across the globe. You have people in China who buy stuff in the U.S. stock market. So that's the strategy. Buying one stock all at the same time.
You know what I find funny? That you have more people that are willing to, when I used to work at this certain place or whatever, you have like 20 or 30 people, they all get together every week and they buy lotto tickets. But you won't be able to get them to do that, to buy a stock. Say, hey, let's bring all our money together and let's buy a stock. But they'll buy a goddamn lotto ticket because everybody looking for that damn fast flip. Everybody, because we in a microwave society, they want some quick turnaround. And I like you said, the mentality definitely has to change, because that's just not.
And I want people to understand, like, the motive behind this is not giving you, like Chris saying, sounds like he's giving out stock information for individuals to go out and buy. This is about creating a collective movement, so that we can move a stock. So even if a stock was flatlining, right, not looking good, not performing, they're going down every day. Like, for example, there's a stock that I've been looking at, Urban One, right? Which used to be Radio One. And Radio One is they're a media conglomerate, but it's Black owned. It's owned by Kathy Hughes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now they're going up against iHeart, which is Clear Channel. And of course, because Clear Channel has a lot more money, a lot more resources, right? They're losing in a lot of different markets, right? But what if we could jumpstart Urban One? What if we got behind Urban One and we went and we bought up stocks, right? Now they'll have more money, more marketing to get back some of that market share in radio, because we cannot afford to not have representation in the media game, because that's very important, right? Because media is how we tell our stories and how we monitor how we're being portrayed in general. So if we don't own any TV stations, right, and we don't own any radio stations, then our narrative is literally left up to, the hands of other people, right? So this is the type of stuff that I want to get into. If we had enough people, we could go, and buy up Urban One, and it's a double incentive, right? Because you're going to make money. If the stock goes from, I think Urban One is like $1.80. If the stock goes from $1.80 to $2.80, you're going to get millions of other people to buy it, and it's going to go to $3. So you'll make money off your investment, and you'll be saving a black company. But we have to get to that
Here's
point.
a little tidbit about Urban One. I just want to add this in. I follow him, Roland Martin. You know what he started to do through Facebook, his live shows through Facebook and Twitter. He's under that umbrella of Urban One.
Yeah,
I thought he was gone.
I think he's still with. I think he falls under that. What he's doing.
I think he used to be with Urban. I think he started his own thing.
Oh, gotcha. So
Yeah,
he don't fall under that company anymore.
Nah. He used to be, because I'm looking at it. I'm actually looking at it right now, and I'm bugging to know, like, what you just said just hit a nerve. One of our only black media stations, Urban One. Right now, a share is $5.75. The 52-week high was $54.16. There is no way in America that this stock should be $5. Like he said, we got to protect this. This is one of the ones we got to protect. This one right here, I really like. You got me really thinking. I'm ready to push the hell out of Urban One, yo. I'm dead serious. I'm ready to. But I know it would take.
That's what got my wheels turning, because I'm like, I know somebody who's like either under the umbrella or have been associated.
He used to be, because he there's an interview he did recently, and he talked about it, because he was actually going to buy. It was something that he was going to do with Urban One, and they said no. He said he'd rather go do his own thing.
Gotcha.
What's the ticker symbol on that?
You won. The letter U won.
No, okay, so that's actually the Urban One is U1 with a K.
Okay,
so U1K. Now it's selling at $1.62. Right. The 52
wait a minute. Hold on. Let me switch my thing off. Let me switch my what's name off. So it's Urban One with the K.
Yeah. Oh, it's U1K.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's the 52-week high is $6.84. Okay.
Which is still roughly around 5 times its current value.
Right.
Right. But here's the thing. So here's another example of a black-owned business, which is in the media space, which is very important.
Right.
It's very important we have our own media.
Yes.
Right. That's why you're starting to see movies about Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton died 50 years ago.
Right.
Over 50 years ago, and you're starting to see movies about him because these were black produced films. The movie about Madam C.J. Walker, that was done by LeBron James. He financed that film, right? So when you see that when it's our black voices, that we control the narrative. So I mean, I would love to come in and save Media One or Urban One, but the reality is we don't have a big enough following. Right.
And that's what needs to be built.
Hey, we can start it.
This is why it's important, because if it's at $1.60 right now, and we had millions of people go in and buy the shares, it's going to go up. Right. So not only are we making money, but we're also saving a company and controlling our narrative. So this is the goal of the Black Tuesday Gang. It's not to just give out hot stock tips so you can make some money. Right. It's about galvanizing a collective energy so that we could go out there and handpick companies and give them an edge.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to reiterate, when I said that about the whole, people, it just feels like their schemes are just, quick, whatever. This is a movement. It's a movement that I think that you should really invest time, energy, and educate yourself. And I'm telling you, we've had a few guests on here, very notable. Professor Small says he's proud of us for starting this type of platform because we fall under that. It's information for the most part. It's for us and about us. We're very diversified. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, this is a movement. This is not a get rich quick scheme. It does involve in educating yourself, and I'm all for it.
Hey, I say everybody find that ticker symbol and buy it.
Okay.
In the morning.
Wait. Quick question now, because all of y'all are looking at something, and I wanted to ask Sonny, what is his top 2 or 3 stock investment tools that you prefer, or for sure it's something for the inexperienced, experienced, novice, whatever? Like, just give me.
Hold that thought. Where's she at? Debbie. Oh, Miss Straight Talk. Don't buy U1, buy U1K. Because she's like,
oh, see, y'all already.
make sure you buy U1K. Don't buy U1.
Let me put that in the chat. Let me put that in the chat.
Yeah, put that in this. Yeah, put it into that.
Okay,
So yeah, so just give us at least 2 or 3, Sonny, that you know are qualifiable and works.
When you say tools, you mean like apps that you could use to buy?
Yeah, because sometimes you're using something, you're looking up something. I see all y'all just like you turn your attention to something, and I'm like, okay, that must be a stock tool, an investment tool.
Okay, so I use Webull as a platform to buy my stock. So it's WEBULL, right?
Okay.
And if you download that app, you could just type in the name of any company and it'll give you the analytics for that company. You can also use just Google. You can Google a company, it'll give you, the stock price, and it'll show you, the charts and graphs.
Well, essentially, I'm saying, like really because to create the movement, we people got to be educated on what to use and how to use it and how easy or how hard it is.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, Webull is very easy to use. You could watch a quick 3-minute video on YouTube that it kind of just give you tutorials of, what is where and how you do it. But the reason why, and it's funny because the reason why we're called the Black Tuesday Gang is because when I initially came up with the idea, it was on a Thursday. And I said, okay, tomorrow we're going to put it out there that everybody's going to buy this stock, which would have been a Friday, right? And we were going to be called the Black Friday Gang. But what ended up happening was we're like, well, if people don't have a trading account set up now,
right,
they're not going to get one set up and funded. Because the whole thing is when you open a trading account, you got to put money in the account.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to verify this, verify that. So we said, okay, well, people aren't probably going to have that done until next week, Tuesday.
Okay.
Right? Because Monday, Friday, and then Monday would be like the first business day. People are probably going to have their accounts open and funded until Tuesday. So that's how we went from, deciding to do it on Tuesday, just because of when the idea came up and just knowing that it's hard to get those apps downloaded, get your account set up, and get it funded in a small window of time.
And it sounds like what you guys are doing is you make your announcement on Tuesdays. On whatever.
Because the key strategy is not only buying the same stock, but buying it at the same time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right, because that's what puts it on people's radar.
Is there a certain window of opportunity on Tuesday? Like, is it a close of, because I heard Jermaine mention something about something open like this, and then there was a close of business or something.
So yeah, so stocks trade from 9 in the morning. So when the market is open, from 9 in the morning to 4:30.
4:30.
Yeah, so from 9 to 4:30. So
extended hours are 6 o'clock, but that's
Yeah. So initially, I'll put it out there in the morning for everybody to go out and buy it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, so the strategy is if thousands of people swarm, because I know we're small, right? So if let's say 2,000 people go and buy, let's say 100 shares, you can move the needle enough so that you put that stock on other people's radars.
Yes.
Right. And then they'll say, hey, what's going on with this stock? Why is it moving like this? What's happening? And then they'll go into it and look and say, hey, the stock's undervalued. It has a bright future. Then we'll jump on and we'll buy some. And that's how we make our money. Right. So by creating that initial surge, then you put it on people's radars. And then you have the second wave of people who come and buy the stock. And that second wave is what takes it past the point you bought it at.
Yeah.
So you bought it at, let's say, 150. Now that second wave comes and drives it up to $2. Right. So right out the bat, you made 25% on your investment. So that's good. Now you can hold on to it if you want to. You can sell it if you want to. It's up to you. But that's how we make our money. So not only can we get it to a point where we're saving businesses, but we can also make money in doing so. It's not all just altruistic, right? We're not all just saying, hey, let's go out here and save a business because it's Black and we need it.
Yeah,
but we can also make money in the process.
Now, do you consider diversifying? Like it? I mean, I know the movement is, to saving Black businesses, but you kind of just touched on it. Would it always just be Black businesses or Black affiliated businesses, or will it be diverse?
I mean, it can be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
has it been in the past with what you guys have been doing?
Well, none of the businesses have been Black thus far. So none of them. So if we decided to do Urban One, that would be the first Black-owned business, right?
Wow.
But none of the businesses have been Black so far.
So this, okay.
And that's only been because, again, being that we are so small, right? And I know that we're probably not going to be able to move the needle as much as we want to.
Mm-hmm. I
got to at least, point people in the direction of a stock that will grow over time, right? So you can't just, because, there's a possibility that a stock may go like Urban One. They could get crushed by Clear Channel, right? They can get crushed, and that stock can go from $1.60 to 50 cents and never move from 50 cents, right? So you could lose money and never make that money back. So a stock would have to have a future in order for me to, get people behind it. Because if we're not able to move the needle initially, I still want it to be a good stock for you to hold on to.
Yes. Okay.
I got two questions I want to ask. I know we coming up on 9 o'clock, so we probably gonna be ending soon. But I want to touch on something you just said. Let's use Urban One for example. Because remember how you said that if we can move the needle, then the big guys gonna come see because they see that the needle has been pushed.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's Urban One and it's a Black-owned company. Do you think they're just going to see green and go ahead and put their money behind it? They can be like, nah, we ain't fucking with them like that.
100%. Because so you got to look at this. A hedge fund manager, his whole purpose is to get a return, because that's how he keep his job, right? So when you because once you get into a certain tax bracket, right, you're not putting your money in banks no more, right? That don't even happen. So what you start to do is you basically give hedge funds, $1 million or $2 million, and they invest it for you. So what they're going to do is invest in a lot of different things over a lot of different times, and they'll give you an average rate of returns. So the higher that rate of return, the better that fund is being managed, the more money the hedge fund manager makes. So they don't really have a lot of opportunity to be racist, because remember, every stock that they bet on is not going to be a winner. So when they see a stock price jumping early in the morning, they're going to watch it. They're going to do their due diligence. And if they say that, hey, this is warranted, then they'll come behind it. So you got the day traders. You got dudes who are just looking at a stock going up. They don't care what the stock is, who it is. They just see the needle moving, and they want to be along for the ride. So you got millions of day traders. Then you have these big fund managers, right? 401k managers who also see a needle moving, and they just want to get a higher rate of return for their customers. So those big guys are going to come along once they see that needle ticking north. They're going to jump on board, because they just want to know, listen, if it's going from 150 to 160 to 170 to 180, they want to get in early enough so that they can get a bigger percentage.
Okay, and the second question I wanted to ask you, I'm glad you mentioned day trading. Do you rock with Forex at all?
No.
Have you got down with Forex?
No. I mean, I understand the principles behind it. I mean, I had a buddy of mine back in the day, a colleague that was a big Forex guy. Here's the thing. Certain investments take a lot of your time because they can go up and down fairly quickly. So it's like, for example, Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin back in 2017 when it was worth about $4,000. Okay. So I bought some Bitcoin and it shot up to 20,000. Okay. Then it crashed all the way back down to being worth less than 4,000. Now it's back up to 50 and 48,000, right? So some of these things go up and down fairly quickly. And that's the thing with Forex. The needle moves with Forex very, very fast. So you have to be a day trader sitting in front of the computer to watch it, or you could lose all your profits. So I just don't have the time for it personally.
What is it?
Foreign exchange. So it's so like how if you ever been on a vacation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to exchange your money. So you take $100 US, and let's say they give you 100 Canadian dollars, right?
Yes.
But now when your vacation is over, and now you take that 100 Canadian dollars, you may only get back 97 US dollars, right?
Yes.
So the Canadian dollar basically lost value over the time you were in that country. Okay. So think about that on a global scale, right? Every day countries and their currencies are going up and down. So you might trade it 1-to-1, or you might trade to 1-to-110. So when you buy foreign exchange, you're basically, buying a currency, hoping that the value of the currency goes up while you're holding it, and then you'll sell it and make a profit.
Okay, thank you for explaining that, Tim. I'm sorry, I am the inexperienced one. I think
So I have one more question, and we'll wrap up. What are your thoughts on investing in companies that don't have an IPO, like a startup? Like, I'm invested in this company called Audios. I suggest everybody kind of just look into this company because it's a Black-owned company, and what they have is Bluetooth wireless outdoor large speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Black-owned company, and they're taking investors right now. So what do you think of like collectively doing that? Even though it's not an IPO, but it's still you're investing in the company, and you still can see a return. Once the company does go public and stuff like that as well.
Okay, so one, that's very risky, right? Because the securities, and that's why it's called securities. The Securities Exchange Commission regulates what happens in Wall Street, right? So there's transparency there. You know if the company is making money, if it's making profits, you know if it's losing money, right? Because these people can be criminally prosecuted if they're lying. When you're doing what you're talking about, which is private equity, right? So we're just going to a person who owns a business, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to invest $1 million into your business. You could cook the books. You could be lying to me about how much money you're making. You could be lying to me about your salary. There's no way to oversee that, right? There's no oversight.
Right.
So you could take my $1 million investment and run, right? I can't criminally, that would be a civil matter.
Right.
I would have to take you to civil court to say, hey, I gave the dude $1 million, he ran all my money, right? So that's why it's a lot riskier doing it that way. Like private equity is a lot more riskier. I mean, you would have to really know that person and really have a good rapport with that person. I would love to get to that point one day. If we grow, we can get people on board to invest in, because a lot of Black companies out there need seed money. They need startup money. They may have a great idea, but they don't have the capital to get them over the hump, right? So I would love to have some way of where we could donate, and not only that, but have some equity in exchange for that. Maybe we can help them with their IPO. Maybe we can help them go public so that we can buy them. But you want to keep it above board. You want to invest in companies that are on Wall Street because you have people regulating it.
Right.
And you don't have people kind of running off with your money.
Okay, gotcha. Well, we appreciate these almost 2 hours you gave us, man.
It's been a wealth of information, and I know I'm happy that I was around for this.
No problem. I appreciate it, man. Listen, this is a labor of love. I'm the only money I'm making is the money that everybody else is making, right? So, but I believe in the potential of where this can go, because again, it can not only be a wealth generating tool for Black people, but it can also be a way for us to build and resuscitate Black businesses. And that's the most important thing, right? There's a lot of Black businesses out there that are struggling because they don't have the access. Because listen, Donald Trump showed you can have a failing business and go and get a loan from a bank just based off rapport. You can have a failing business and go get a $300 million loan from a bank to save your business. A lot of Black businesses don't have access to that. We're seeing it now in the COVID era, right?
Yeah.
You can have a club, a nightclub, a restaurant, a hair salon that did good all these years. And now with COVID, you can go to a bank, try to get a loan to hold you down. They're not going to give you the money. But other people from other communities can go into these financial institutions and get this money. So the biggest problem with a lot of Black businesses is access to resource and capital. And I believe Black Tuesday could change that narrative in terms of allowing businesses to have access to capital through investment. So the individual Black person wins, and the Black business wins.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yo, man, I can't thank you enough for responding. As you can see, you got a platform whenever you want to come on. It's all good. The way you ended it, I think, was perfect. I'm gonna make sure I send you my number, so we can definitely keep in contact. And I firmly believe, I think we need to start pushing the agenda for everybody. We need probably, like, I would think, what if 200,000 of us bought 100 shares or 150 shares of Urban One? That could possibly move the needle. And that's not hurt nobody's pockets. Ain't nobody pockets getting hurt with no $150. Or it ain't that serious. So that really could help. But I think before we do it, we need to reach out to the lady that owned it. Let her know, like, yo, I'm sick of shit. She can't be mad. It's only gonna help her. We gotta see. But we definitely appreciate you jumping on. When you get a chance, definitely, I would say check out Chris Sane, my man.
I'm gonna look him up now.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. He cool as hell. He make a video on YouTube like every day. And yo, just spread the word. Like I said, you got this platform for whatever. Just let everybody know, because we want to get people on here to let them know what's going on and get them the right information. That's our sole objective. And if you ever come to the Atlanta area, let's go ahead and link up, yo.
Definitely, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all time, man. It's you know, like I said, I'm just doing this out of love for the people, and hopefully we can get to that point. And if we do, everybody wins.
Right.
Exactly. And just so you know, one of the Miss Straight Talk in the YouTube chat said she's glued to her laptop at 8:44 and 59 seconds on Tuesdays. So trust me, you know, this labor of love it's a movement. And I'm gonna be right there. I'm gonna sign up for the Webull myself. So again, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm gonna have to educate myself, but I do thank you for the information that you provided to us tonight and to the listeners.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for those people who don't know what they're doing, listen, just take you $50 to $100, buy what you can afford, and just hold on to it for as long as possible, right? And chances are, when you look back at your portfolio, it's going to be worth a lot more than the initial investments that you put towards those stocks. So don't stress it. Don't think you have to become a stock expert or you have to. It's just an alternative to savings. That's it.
Gotcha.
Right? You ain't gonna make millions of dollars, but the goal is you're gonna make more money than you would have at a bank.
Gotcha. I think they say that the rule with investing is don't lose money. That's the first rule. And the second rule is don't forget rule number one. That's easy. It is, because but my man, like I said, I definitely appreciate you jumping on. We gonna be in contact. For everybody out there, thank you so much. We humbly thank you for tuning in. We're gonna let y'all know who our next guest is going to be within the next couple days once we go ahead and secure them. And for everybody, once again, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video. Make sure you get people on this particular video right here, because with so many people stuck in the house, they want to learn about the stock market, because it's something to add to your portfolio. If you need 7 streams of income to be a millionaire, this one right here is the one you want to learn about. So everybody, y'all have a great night, and we'll see y'all next Monday.
Peace.
All right, night, y'all.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you.